Welcome to Your Infinite Health. Are you getting older?
Are you feeling it?
How would you like to do that in reverse?
We're your host,
Dr. Tripp
and Lene.
We've run an integrative medicine practice for 13 years.
Together, we have 60 years of combined experience helping clients.
We've helped tens of thousands achieve success in health and live longer, happier lives.
In this show, we'll cover peer-reviewed and evidence-based integrative approaches to creating the health you've always wanted.
We also share professional experience we see in the field every day.
So if you're ready to feel, look, and live your best life, you're in the right place.
Welcome to Your Infinite Health podcast.
Did you know that it is possible to rewire your brain and change the way that you think? Today's guest, Dr. Anna Marie Frank, helps people do just that. She is a doctor of traditional naturopathy with a Ph.D. in natural medicine. She has training from the Garson Institute, the Amen Clinics, Integrative Nutrition Institute, Mind Valley, National Wellness Institute, and the Wellness Council of America. Needless to say, she is a lifelong learner and continues to expand in the field of well-being. Dr. Anna Marie healed her brain after years of depression and challenges with dyslexia and ADD. She's the creator and owner of Happy Whole You, a brain health-focused wellness center located in Bakersfield, California. She's the formulator of a brain nutraceutical line, which includes Happy You, Calm You, and Bright You. Plus, she just launched her bioavailable liquid nutrition line for those of you who don't like taking pills. She's also the author of the self-improvement book, Stop Bullying Yourself, a guide to greater health, wealth, happiness, and success. All right. Thank you, Dr. Anna Marie Frank, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So I was hoping that you could just kind of jump right in and tell everybody a little bit about you. One specific question I did want you to touch on is I see that you healed yourself. You say you healed yourself, your brain from depression. And I definitely want to get into that, but I'm going to let you to go into your origin story.
Yeah, thank you. So really, I started struggling with depression in high school for no apparent reason. I mean, back then, you wouldn't say, oh, you're depressed. It wasn't like a mainstream thing to say, oh, I have depression or, oh, I have anxiety. It was like this quiet, silent thing that I was feeling. And then I felt shame around it because I was a 4-sport athlete. I got good grades. I had a roof over my head. My parents were married. There wasn't, what you would think like, oh, why are you depressed? And so that followed me through high school and then through college, university. And I kept using the next thing to think it was going to heal me or fix me. So I thought, oh, well, when I go to college, I can reinvent myself and that'll make me happy. And then once I graduated university, I'll move. I'm from Michigan. So, I'll move to California and then I'll be happy. I'll be getting a salary and I'll have a job. It kept being the next thing. And I found myself in my early 20s sitting across from a psychiatrist because I had health insurance. So I thought, I'll go to a psychiatrist now. A pill will fix it. And I spent about 15 minutes with him. He put me on 3 mind-altering drugs at around 22 years old, and I continued to go on a downward spiral. So luckily, I had this little light inside of me over a period of time, a couple years, where I finally said no to the pharmaceuticals, and I started to look at ways that I could heal myself. I thought, if we can rewire computers, I could probably rewire my brain. And so that was something that stuck with me. And I just started doing a lot of different things to work on my mindset, to work on my inner health and, how I was seeing the world, how I was speaking about my life. And it made a drastic difference in my overall well-being and happiness.
Wow. Yeah. The thought that's a pretty progressive thought. To think that if you can rewire a computer, you must be able to rewire your brain. Like just even having that thought is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I know. I'm a very visual learner. Mm-hmm. So I would always try to visualize things like tactical things. And then, I don't know, that just really, really helps me when I think of things like that.
Yeah. And so you also call yourself a lifelong learner. So what did you study at university?
I went into exercise science. And then after that, I did a master's degree in leadership and curriculum development. I'm an educator at heart. So just learning. And then I went on to study naturopathy. And then I studied Chinese medicine. And I studied energy medicine, getting my PhD in natural medicine. And it was just like this journey of learning all of these ways that, 120 years ago, these are some of the things that were taught at our colleges and universities.
Oh, in
And
America? Were those taught in America? I feel like we
yeah,
have to go like east to get some of these, wise
yeah.
ideas.
Yeah, I mean, a long time ago, our universities used to be called colleges, and they would do Northern European practices and Eastern practices in terms of herbs and medicine. And it wasn't until the turn of the century that the Rockefellers and the Carnegies sent out this guy, last name Flexner, to go and do a Flexner report, which is where he went out to all these universities to try to mainstream medicine due to the petrochemical industry because they started to be able to make pharmaceutical drugs. And so if you start to mainstream medicine, you can teach these young minds that want to become doctors how to prescribe medications and how to do surgeries over overall health and well-being and preventative. So there was a big shift in our country in terms of education and how we approached individual and the body to help people heal. And it's an art. It's an art to work with people and allow them to find ways and support them through ways of healing. And I believe a big aspect of healing that is missed is in energy medicine, is in our mind, because every thought we have, every word we speak carries a vibrational frequency that will impact the biochemical makeup of the body. And nobody talks about that. And it's everything when it comes to beginning to heal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our core program is, we call it a 4 pillars approach. And one of what we perceive to be the most important pillar is the mind body connection. It's a new idea for patients coming into a medical office and spending that time with a physician that's actually interested in shifting the way, helping that patient shift the way they think to support what their goals are. For us, it starts like the minute they walk in the door because people are so most people are still very reactive when it
Mm.
comes to healthcare. And so they're acutely aware of what it is they don't want, but a lot of people haven't really taken the time to conceptualize what it is that they do want. So just off the
Mhm.
bat, shifting that easy little process to go, okay, well, we know what you don't want. What is it that you do want? And what does that look like? And what does that feel like? And what are you doing in that scenario that you're not able to do now? So, what are some ways that you help people rewire their brain?
Well, first, we should never make decisions out of fear.
Oh, for
When it
sure.
comes to our health. And then I believe in asking why, getting curious without giving it a right or wrong, right? It's just what is happening. So I also try to help people disconnect of, oh, I have anxiety, I have depression, whereas these are things you're experiencing. And I remind people that we're supposed to feel depressed sometimes. We're supposed to feel anxiousness and fear sometimes. We're supposed to feel joy and love, and we're supposed to feel a whole spectrum of emotions. It's just, we shouldn't be feeling depressed every day. We should be feeling anxious every day. And when that's happening, usually there is a mind component. There could be a nutritional deficiency going on, but it's really recognizing where somebody's at, how they're registering, like how they're feeling inside, and then finding ways to support them on their healing journey. And so really shifting the way we speak and think about our life is one of the aspects. So when I do an initial session with someone, I'm not just looking at the physical and biochemical makeup of them. I'm listening to the words that they say, how they speak. I'm looking at their eyes, their tongue, their face, their fingernails, and I'm trying to see what physical observations is the body giving off to let us know what could be going on internally. And then I physically, if they're in person, I can physically touch the body and test the body to see how it's biofeedback, their biological response to different points on the body using different meridians and acupressure points, things like that. And so from there, we just build a plan, do they test sensitive to certain foods? I like to use the add-in method more so. So we look at, what are the 3 to 5 things that we can add into your life to enhance your life? Because I found that when you tell people to stop doing this, stop doing that, they're like, I want to do it more, which I mean, I'm the same way, right?
Right.
So it's like, okay, what are the 2 foods we can add to your daily routine that are going to act as medicine for the body? What is, can you get outside and just stand barefoot in the grass and take 30 deep breaths every morning before you start your day? Can you take 5 minutes to intentionally go for a power walk around your block to start your movement routine? I mean, for people that they're not exercising at all during the day, you need to do 30 minutes, 45 minutes, go to a gym. That is overwhelming.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we start small and set goals. And I always say it's all about what you do day in and day out that is going to yield you the most results and make the biggest difference in your life. It's not what happens once in a while. So we focus on those little deposits that can grow compound interest throughout a lifetime. That's going to give you some great results.
Those are really cool, easy, implement practical steps for sure. I love them all. And then, so what kind of person is coming to see you? Like, what kind of person do you love to work with? Like, what prompts them to knock on your door?
Yeah. Well, I think it's really cool. I see all sorts of people, 18 months all the way to 90-year-olds. So
18 months. Wow.
I get like the whole shebang.
Okay.
My favorite, if I had to pick a favorite, or like people that I can that seem to move the needle the most,
Mhm.
are my high functioning, anxious people that are doing a lot of great things in the world, but they're killing themselves inside.
Right.
And maybe they've been told, their doctor's like, oh, you have these medications that you should go on, but there's something inside of them that's like, I don't know if I want to go there. And so when I can get the people before they've gone on the medications, that is usually like a super win, because we shift, their blood chemistry with their cholesterol, their triglycerides. We lower the nervous system, the anxiousness, and they're able to function at an even higher level than they were before. But then I do get people that come in and they've been put on a lot of different medications. So it's working with their practitioner and with them to figure out how we can enhance their health. And then I would say anyone that experiences anxiousness and anxiety, usually within 5 to 7 days, we can reduce that by about 50% with the nervous system. So that's a big, huge win as well.
That's a big change. How are you doing that? Is that just with a mindset technique? Is that just with like, how are you doing that?
Yeah. So first we look at, well, number one, I help them hold, like I teach them these meridian points that they can hold on their body, and then they breathe, which is very, very helpful. The other thing is we use a product called Calm You. It's a brain nutraceutical that helps to just like calm that amygdala in the brain that, is like, everything's bad, something bad's going to happen. Da, da, da. So it like just calms the brain, calms
Calms
the nervous system.
the what if scenario.
Yes. Yes. The what if. And so usually what we'll do is we'll microdose with that Calm You either twice a day or 3 times a day for, the first week or 2. And then what happens is they start sleeping better, actually.
Okay.
And they start to just feel a little bit better, a little bit better. And then we'll add in a couple food items that are going to enhance their overall well-being. Because a lot of times I find people that are anxious, they also have digestion issues as well. So those two I see very commonly going hand in hand. Not every time, but I would say 90% of the time, my subjective feedback of what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think hormone imbalance can play a significant role in creating some of these things that people are quick to label as depression and anxiety.
Hmm.
And I know I had a miscarriage, and the nurse was very quick to like hit me with, like, she didn't even like, at that point I wasn't depressed because I hadn't processed what had happened, but
Yeah.
she was quick to like give me this antidepressant, and I was in law school at the time, and I started to take it because the nurse told me to take it,
Right.
and then but I was like a zombie, and I'm like, I will not get through school if I take this crap. I never took it, but just looking, that was a major hormonal moment,
Yes.
for me. So other women are maybe unfortunately being misdiagnosed when there's a hormone, or as you say, a nutritional component to those things.
Yeah, yeah, and I see that a lot too is women's hormones are out of whack, but usually it's nervous system response and mineral deficiencies that it's like, okay, let's take care of those two things, that low-hanging fruit, support the
Mhm.
digestive system, get them their minerals and things they need, calm that nervous system, and there's a big difference that gets created through that. I love using plant stem cells, so phytoembryo therapies, gemel therapies. They're a very inexpensive way to make a huge difference in what people are dealing with. It's just getting that right formula. And these are undifferentiated cells, meaning they have all the genetic makeup to go in the body and do what your body says. So they work I look at them as like working in a more 360 fashion versus herbs and vitamins. They work in a more linear fashion, right? They're
Okay.
resources for the body. They go in and they do the one thing or a couple things. And so we play with both the nutraceutical and the plant stem cells. And that combination has been working tremendously well for the clients that I see.
Tell me more about your nutraceutical line.
Yeah. So what happened is I was actually seeing people and I studied at the Dr. Amen clinics in terms of brain health and using different raw materials. I was learning about how they impact the brain, how they impact the body, how they change mood. And so I was like, okay. And I was diving in deep to all these raw materials. And I'm like, why hasn't anyone formulated, like, put these together? So it's like, okay, you have these five amazing raw materials that help people with anxiousness, or these seven materials that help people with depression. And so I was like, I wonder if I can put those together and still get great results. And so that's what I ended up doing is I started with three flagship products, one for supporting people that feel anxiousness, one that supports people to create their own serotonin. I didn't know that like you need vitamin B6 and you need tryptophan to even begin to make serotonin in the body. I
You
was
need
like,
more turkey? Are you saying people need to
yeah.
eat more turkey?
Yeah. Like that amino acid is so important. So that was super interesting. And then the first product I actually formulated is called Bright You. And I look at it as being super neuroprotective and anti-inflammatory because I was looking at my countertop and I had like five or six different products. I had the resveratrol, I had the ashwagandha, I had the
Uh-huh.
green tea extract, the curcumin, and I was taking them all individually. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
man, this is crap, right? I'm taking like 20 pills. And then I learned about additives in pills. So I'm like, really, I'm taking more additives than I'm
Mhm.
taking the active ingredient. So I went ahead and formulated that together. So the Bright You has five active ingredients in it, full servings, and you only have to take three pills.
Oh, that's
Versus
nice.
so nice. So anyway, so that's kind of like how I started. And then we expanded into a liquid food base, like multivitamin that, like our B6 comes from lemon peel. And so it's very bioavailable in the body. And yeah, so
It's
this
liquid. So how, like, you take it, like,
just
how
a
do you
shot.
Oh, okay. How does it
Yeah.
taste? How's that
Yeah.
taste?
It's actually not that bad.
Okay.
It's not bad. So we have an antioxidant blend, that we put in it as well, which gives it some good. We have a little stevia in it to help with the sweetness. But overall, it's people are like, oh, this is great because it's like taking 20 different pills because it has
Oh,
amino acids in it, fatty acids in it. It has, your broad spectrum of vitamins and minerals in it, and then an antioxidant blend. So it's kind of like if you're going to take one thing, only one thing, it's the whole you that we have just to maintain good health. And at least you're absorbing well with it.
that's cool. I hate taking pills, and I know I'm not the
I
only one
know.
that feels that way.
I know. It's
Got
like,
my thyroid, got my progesterone, like good DHEA, all the things.
yep, I know. It's once I did the whole the liquid, I was like, my life totally changed because my protocol, what I do is I do 2 plant stem cells. I take 3 bright U each day and a shot of my whole U. Like I used to take like throughout the day, 20, 30 pills. I'd be like
God.
taking some in the morning, some at lunch, like just to keep my antioxidant level up and to keep, my nutrition up. And then I'll throw in like Celtic salt because it's great with that 82 mineral blend in it. But again, I'm only taking 3 pills a day. The rest are liquid or salt. That's
Nice.
awesome.
That is awesome. Hey, then you can stick that in an IV bag.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Absolutely.
Well, that's cool. You also have a book. Tell us about the book.
Yeah, thank you. So my book is called Stop Bullying Yourself. And when I originally started writing this book, I was like, okay, if my depression was something that I was born with, or even if it was something that happened to me from being bullied or whatnot, I wanted to write for my children because I have 2 kids. What can they do? What are some practical things that they can do to help rewire their brain, their biology, just to support them? So I started writing this book essentially for my kids. And then I sent it to my sister. I was like, hey, what do you think? She's a counselor. She's like, oh my gosh, you have to publish this. And I'm like, I'm just like a basic person. Like, how does someone
A
like
basic
me?
person who created
Yeah.
all these nutraceuticals. Okay.
Well, this was before. This was before I
Okay.
started doing that. But, you're like, I mean, it's like, who am I to write a book, And then, anyways, it just started growing from there. And it's really a personal growth book. I do share some personal stories in there about some things I went through, but it's really a book of empowerment and just to get us to like think differently because we get caught up in a victim mentality of, oh, my life is the way it is because. And so we get to choose to say, yeah, my life is the way it is because these things happen to me, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I am grateful for all of them because what they afforded me in my life. And when I say afforded us, I always look at the really challenging moments that we've had in our lives. And instead of like dwelling in the emotion and the negativity around it, if we actually extract the value gained of how it enhanced us as a person. Maybe it gave you, more courage. Maybe it made you more patient. Maybe it made you more inclusive. These are values that we get out of hard times, and nobody gets to go through this lifetime smooth sailing. We're supposed to have challenges. We're supposed to be pushed. And it doesn't always feel good, but the choice is we can leave those emotions in the past and we can step forward in the future with the lessons learned.
Hmm.
And so, I want to help people really grasp that concept, and it's a practice and it takes time because we all have a way we wound up being, and we all have like this essentially narratives going on in the background. For me, my narratives, I'm not smart enough, which is probably why from my second grade teacher, there's a whole thing that happened there. I talk about it in the book, but I have this thing going on in the background that I'm not smart enough. So it's no wonder I have like a zillion certifications, that I've done so much
Right.
with my schooling, that I'm a lifetime learner, right? So I do have to check myself and be like, okay, why are you wanting to do this next certification or take this next course? Are you doing this because you feel inadequate? Like, so I have to take myself through that. The other one is that's not available to me. I mean,
Hmm.
I grew up with thinking that, other people got to go on spring breaks. Other people got to have the cool clothes and the nice shoes and, the fancy houses and all the things. And that's just not available to me. So that shows up in my field as well. And so I have to check myself because I'll tell myself, oh yeah, you can't do that or you shouldn't do that. And then I'm like, but wait a minute. I can do that and this. I can do both,
Right.
So those things happen, but until we recognize the programs that we have, it's harder for us to step out and step into our true authentic selves and live the life that we were supposed to live. So just bringing awareness to those things are very important in my opinion.
Oh, so important. Yeah, I know for me it was a worthless issue.
Oh,
It
okay.
wasn't so much a smart issue, maybe a little bit, because I think growing up, people underestimated me. So I kind of was doing the same thing as you were. But then I got to the point where I'm like, I should just stop. I should only do things that I like to do, like maybe to take a watercolor class for Christ's sake instead of all this hard hard stuff. Do something
Yeah.
fun. So
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah. Cause we end up having a need to prove ourselves, right?
Right.
And so I have to remind myself it's not my job to prove myself to anyone. That
Right.
is something an affirmation I have to tell myself all the time. And I also have to I go with it's not my job to convince anyone of anything because with holistic health and what I do, I like see miracles every day. And so I want to shout it from the rooftops. So when someone has something going on, I'm like, oh my gosh, you have to try this or you should, and I've learned that like, uh-uh, I can invite them to, to explore this arena of health and prevention. But it's not my job to convince them of anything. So I no longer, try to shout it from the
Convince.
rooftops. Yeah, I don't. I get very passionate about what I do. I'll get very passionate about, certain things and talk about them from my perspective, but
Mhm.
that's just my perspective, and that's why I think asking questions and figuring out what works for your bio individuality is very important because I don't believe there's one perfect diet for anyone. I don't believe there's one perfect supplement for anyone. I don't
Right.
believe there's one formula for everyone that's going to work for everyone. So, yeah, it's kind of a thing I've had to learn as I've gotten older, but yeah.
I think, yeah, I mean, I know Trip struggles with that same thing. And I'm like, look, dude, if you feel like you're having to like pull and convince
Mhm.
somebody to show up for themselves,
Right.
you need to get out that room. The longer,
Mhm.
because I'm convinced the longer you're
Right.
in a room trying to convince somebody of something, the more time you're wasting. And, life's too short for anybody to be wasting their time trying to
Mhm.
convince somebody of something. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we struggle with that as well. And I think
Yeah.
Zig Ziglar actually had a good kind of saying, and granted he was talking about sales, but it's a great thing. It's some will, some won't. So what next? So
Oh, yeah, I love that.
we have to remind ourselves, you
Yeah.
just put you walk by like you're the waiter with the appetizers, and some people will take it and some people won't, and that's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think one of my biggest strengths and one of my biggest faults is I can see the potential in other people.
Oh yeah, for sure. I struggle with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so the standard is here and what's possible, and, they're like,
Not there yet.
yeah,
Probably will never be there.
yeah,
Yeah. I make really bad. I make bad. What is it I'm trying to say? I don't see people for who they are. I see who they can be, and that's
yeah.
led to some really bad business decisions.
Yes, I could agree 100% on that one. Yes, it's that's the thing they can't teach you in a textbook. That is called life experience.
Right, right, right. For sure, for sure. Well, I'm gonna have to get your book. It sounds great because that self-talk is so important.
Yes. Oh, it's everything. It's literally everything. And I always, you know, when I tell people that concept of your thoughts and your words will change your biochemical makeup, they're kind of like, "What?" Well, this has actually been proven in science.
Sure.
And Dr. Emoto proved that there is actually consciousness in water. And so if your body is mostly made up of water, what do
Mhm.
you think is being programmed in your body? And so if you don't know Dr. Emoto's work, I encourage you to like look it up. It's pretty incredible. So, and then, or you could just like take a couple deep breaths and say the word love, and your body feels differently than if you take a couple deep breaths and you say hate. It's very different.
Mhm.
So yeah, just bringing awareness to that because it's just, language is so important. And how we speak and think about our lives, again, it is everything. And so I just want to shake people and that's the potential I see in them. Like you could change this, but
Right.
but yeah, so it's just sometimes it's just making a couple suggestions or pointing out, hey, you said X, Y, and Z, is that really what you mean by that? And if it is, wow, that's interesting because from my perspective, or if you're open to hearing it, I heard blah, 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 or what if we shifted it to this? And then it's interesting because some people are like, I never thought of it that way, right? That's what's beautiful about having conversations, right? Where we're just supporting each other. We're giving each other space and, we're asking for permission to share something and we're not telling people things. We're just sharing information. And we take that in a lot easier when we're sharing versus telling.
Right. For sure. Very cool. Well, what is one thing you'd like the listener to know? I mean, all that was really great, but what is one more thing?
I think you need to realize that you need to trust your body and not be shameful of your body and fill your body with lovable good things. I always say, we're constantly downloading information into our body, just as you download information on your smartphone. You're not going to download apps on your phone that are going to be viruses and that are going to make it not work well and that are going to make your use of your cell phone or your computer more frustrating. So when we think of the downloads in our lives, this is the conversations we have, what we're eating, how we're moving our body throughout the day, what we're listening to, what we're choosing to see. Are you choosing to see through the lens of all the good things in your day? Or are you choosing to say, oh, I'm having a bad day, so now for the rest of my day, I'm going to see all that is bad. So we get to choose those downloads. And so I think that just being cognizant of what you are choosing to download in your body and in your life is everything.
Awesome. Very true. Well, where can the listeners find more about you and grab your book?
Yes. So you can get the book on happywholeyou.com. We also, our brick and mortar is on Instagram at happywholeyou. I just started a personal Instagram page, dr.anna.marie on Instagram or dr.anna.marie on Instagram.
You'll find
it. Yeah, you'll find it. And then I'm on LinkedIn and you can always just email us info@happywholeyou if you want to book a remote session or in person or whatnot, if you're going to be in the area.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Anna Marie, thank you so much for your time. And I know it's earlier where you are, so thank you for getting up and hanging out with us. Really appreciate it.
Oh, this is such a great day to start my day. Thank you for sharing your platform and, sharing this so I can speak to your listeners. And I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Well, listener, we'll have all the links where you can find them. And I hope you found this educational, informational, somewhat entertaining. And until next time.
Thanks for subscribing to Your Infinite Health. I'm Dr. Tripp.
And I'm Lene. Until next time, feel it, look it, and live it.